Call the meeting of the Judiciary License Committee to order for Tuesday, October 15th. Are there any citizen comments? Any comments? 3 times. Approval of the September 17th, 2019 minutes.
So move.
Motion to approve in a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passed. Consent agenda, the beverage operator applications for 2019 to 2021 of Lee Copenhaver, Zachary Teacher, Aaron Gessert, Adam Hartz, Naomi Holmes, Chadwick Ahart, Chad Madden, Betty McCurtis, Kaylin Meacham, Bradley Meyer, Michael Moradic, Michelle Rabine, James Riedel, Jacob Schultz, Ruth Van Tunison, Jordan Vanderleest, Haley Wagner, and Kendra Wen. And the application for a temporary Class B retailer's license for Main Street Marshfield for a beer walk on October 24th, 2019. For motion to approve.
So move.
Steve?
Just wanted to bring one thing to your attention, that Ruth Ann Tunison, it was marked that she did list on her application the battery charge from 2018. I just wanted to bring to your attention that she was intoxicated during that encounter, and it was marked clearly throughout the officer's report that alcohol was involved in that, battery episode. Just wanted you to have that information.
Any other comment?
We have the paperwork on that one in here.
Yeah, it was marked approved, as she had listed everything appropriately. In the past, when there's been maybe failure to lists or other things of significance, we've brought forth whether or not alcohol was involved or a contributor to maybe these events, and the investigating officers, which was Wood County Sheriff's Department, like I said, had mentioned numerous times that it was a factor within that arrest.
Potential points.
Correct. She was convicted of battery.
Nothing on the report says.
So if there are circumstances in which alcohol is involved and you can describe those circumstances, and this body can then factually relate those circumstances to the circumstances of the license, then I think that's fine. You might be able to do that, and I'm going to leave that to this body to sort of articulate and say that, well, if alcohol was involved, then those circumstances alone, meaning that it had to do with alcohol, and this has to do with an alcohol licensure, you could try to find that, and I think that's up to the body to articulate if you're going to do that. That's different than circumstances where we have a criminal charge, and the criminal charge is for theft or something along those lines, but that theft involved bringing people over to the house and giving them alcohol, and then while they were intoxicated, taking their money. Now, that's one way that a theft would be substantially related to the licensed activity. I'm going to use that as an absolute easier example. Whether the other facts relate or not, then that's up to the body. And I think it requires you to kind of explain what that charge is.
I guess what I can share is that she was arrested for domestic battery. says that while, that she had committed the battery with her live-in, I believe, boyfriend. Was extremely intoxicated at the time. The courts, she was originally charged with battery and domestic abuse enhancer, was convicted of disorderly conduct, with the battery being dismissed but read in. So they didn't discount the battery. She just wasn't charged with the battery. So, can I say that her level of intoxication caused this? No. But it was enough of a contributing factor for the officer, like I said, to list it multiple times within here, saying that she got in a fight with her boyfriend and was intoxicated and proceeded to injure him.
And she had an otherwise clean record, so that would be further to outside of characteristics, therefore contributed by.
I guess as far as a clean record goes, I'm not certain. I know that she just has to list within the last 2 years what's on.
Because there was only the one thing was, well, there was another question that was all about.
Yeah, I can check that real quick as you.
2018.
Yep.
Oh, it looked like there was 2 entries. One was the other one.
Or I didn't. Okay.
Pleasure.
I think rather than muddle further, probably move to amend, removing that individual, discuss that further.
Okay, we'll remove that. And then we'll consider the other, any further discussion on the other item. Motion to approve in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah.
So now just that one item.
Yeah.
Okay.
Opinion?
What are your thoughts?
I guess we don't have anything that is stated by the police that's official on her record as being alcohol related. So officially, while it may have been part of what happened, I don't know if we have a choice to assign any demerit points if she doesn't have it on the record.
But according to the police report,
Yeah, I guess that's why I brought it up, was in fact it does exist, and I'm bringing that forth. There's times where somebody may be arrested for a battery or disorderly conduct and there isn't alcohol involved, or the report doesn't reflect whether or not alcohol is involved. When somebody's going to be making decisions on alcohol service and they've shown maybe whether it's one instance or a history of poor choices with alcohol being a contributing factor, I minimally want to bring that to your attention for consideration regarding other positions this person will be in when it comes to serving others or selling alcohol. So I know that in the past we've considered alcohol violations within the last 2 years, whether they listed or not. This one could have had a cover sheet with, the checks by whatever that is, alcohol. I think on here it lists previous alcohol violations or commitments. Well, it wasn't necessarily an alcohol violation, but it's more of an information or an FYI. Could have been also listed under miscellaneous information or recommendations.
I guess we could give her the license as is, or with 25 points assessed, depending if you feel that there was a significant.
well, either way, the license would still be issued.
Right.
It would just, I guess, a pretty careful forward, and at some point the points will drop off.
Be better if we do create a record for that.
I could move to award the license with 25 points, demerit points issued based on the fact that there was significant mention of intoxication throughout the police report. Finding a fact, the police report occurred while she was intoxicated. There was a conviction of, it was a lesser offense, but it was still a conviction related to it. So that would be my motion. Whether you
Okay.
second or not, I guess.
Yeah, I'll second.
A motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. Beverage operator application of Misty and Vaneuck. Chief?
Misty failed to list that she had received a citation from Marshfield Police Department dated April 13th of 2018 for a violation of parent contributing to the delinquency of a minor who was found guilty or defaulted May 9th of 18. So this would be within the last 2 years and for a failure to list.
Did the violation involve alcohol?
No.
Okay. So we have a motion on this.
So failure to list would be 25. Motion we grant with the 25 point assessment failures list.
Second.
A motion and a second to grant with a 25-point assessment. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Item 5, a request from Ultra Mart Foods LLC to amend their Class A combination liquor license premise description to include the exterior parking stalls specifically designated for the online merchandise order and pickup service and the pathway utilized to access the parking stalls.
Yep, thank you. Ultra Mart Foods is going to online grocery shopping, just like Festival and Walmart. Therefore, they want to amend their premise description to include the parking stalls and the pathways so that they can deliver anything that may have alcohol out of the vehicle. They will follow the same procedures, checking IDs, and all the transactions will take place on their premise. Mr. Bating is here in case you have any questions of Ultra.
I thought everything in the letter was well planned out, and unless the chief has got something to, so I would have no objection to make a motion.
Second.
A motion to grant the request from Ultra Mart. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. Item number 7, original application for a Class B combination liquor license from Wisconsin Apple LLC, agent Kent Billingsley, 2114 North Central Avenue.
Yes, thank you. Applebee's is being sold. Wisconsin Apple LLC is purchasing our Applebee's at 2114 North Central Avenue. I've run it through a background check and it's been published in the newspaper. Nobody has filed any opposition, so I would recommend approval.
Second.
Motion and a second to grant the original application.
Is this still the same agent they had, or all different person?
This is a new person.
And it's still going to be an Applebee's?
Yes.
A motion and a second to grant the application. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Number 8, the original application for a Class A combination liquor license for GPM Southeast LLC, agent Amber Zubricky, for 1727 North Central Avenue, for 1000 North Central Avenue, for 539 South Central Avenue, and for 1502 South Central Avenue.
All right, I'm sure this looks very familiar to all of you. The Weiser Companies has since sold or in the process of selling to GPM Southeast LLC. Therefore, they're making application before the same agent as Whistler applied for. Weiser. Thank you. Again, everything's been published, so we would recommend approval.
Make a motion that we approve the application for license.
Motion by Steve, second by Tom. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. Number 9, an update on the September 20th, 2019 alcohol compliance checks and possible assessment of demerit point. Chief?
Gonna start?
You can explain what happened. I can just say, I received this information from the police chief on the most current compliance check. So what I did, I put it all in a spreadsheet so it'd be easier for you to follow. Again, they would have to fail at least 2 compliance checks within 1 year. You can see we did have 1 failure, and that would be Pizza Hut. I don't know if the chief would have anything more to expand on that, but as of this time, that's the only business we could assess points to.
Correct. We performed 40 compliance checks in September. There's 4 failures. As Deb mentioned, Pizza Hut was the only one who had a second consecutive failure within 12 months. The others did not have a failure in the last 12 months. But I guess I'm not sure if we've talked with this group, if we've talked compliance checks before, but what we do is we hire underage individuals to be accompanied by a of-age person and have them go into establishments in the city and attempt to purchase alcohol. If they purchase successfully, we go back and we cite the server. Some of the servers are licensed, some are not. Obviously, they don't necessarily have to be if there's somebody who's licensed on premise. The only time we would go back and, I guess, issue demerit points on the establishment is when they would have multiple failures within a 12-month period of time. Again, Pizza Hut did have that, and I would, I guess, be happy to answer any questions you have.
Just again, for my clarification, I think I've heard discussed. It's not any kind of an attempt trickery by the attempting and done, not a begging, bargaining, self-card.
Correct. They don't have a license on them, so they can't, they actually have no identification on them. There's certain best practices that we follow. We don't have them wear makeup or have them do anything that's different than how they would normally dress or present themselves. They have no ID on them if they're asked their date of birth or to give their actual date of birth. If they are questioned in any sense, they're supposed to give them factual information. But there is no trickery, no lying, no setting up of, it's our desire to have everybody pass, obviously. And those who adhere to their, I guess, good policing policies within their organization, do the right things, and card all of those who, I mean, some of the establishments in town have set a 30-year or 40-year benchmark of card anybody under 40. I believe there's some establishments in town that card everybody. So it's those who either choose not to or choose not to even ask at times when these are served. If they do go into an establishment with that other person who is of age, it's actually the underage person who's doing the ordering, who's doing the paying, if the other person is questioned, the of age person, the one who is over 21, has an ID and presents the ID and such. But when the other one who's under 21 does not have any ID, it's a decision at that point whether the establishment chooses to serve them based on not having an ID or chooses to ask them their actual date of birth.
On this chart, the white spaces entirely would indicate no compliance was made or no attempt was made.
That is, so the green means they passed, red they failed. If it's slashed, they were not checked. And the other ones weren't on any list, so I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I can,
Just again, for quick clarification, it's my understanding that dining areas, a little surprised that
Pizza Hut?
yeah, Pizza Hut, last few times I've gone, doors are locked up because the drives picked up only. Heard.
September 20th, they were open. Oh, you missed your
I didn't
chance.
think it was that far along. And I thought, well, anyway, I guess that's kind of a point. I'm surprised.
What is the normal point?
So you can assess 25 demerit points per offense and then 50 points for any second or subsequent offense. So for this situation, it would be 75 demerit points because they had 2 offenses. And then I will send them a letter if that's what you so choose. And they have a right to come back here and ask for a hearing. And a lot of times these businesses, if they can show that they've taken procedures to fix the situation, you know, working with the employee or setting up some type of program, you do have the discretion to reduce points based on these complaints.
But otherwise they lose their,
Well, a liquor license, so a business can have up to 100 demerit points. So right now they would not lose their license. If they would get to 100 demerit points, then we would send them another letter asking them to come before you.
So 75 would be because 25 from 14.
Correct.
They didn't get any points for first failure.
No, because you have to have 2 within one license in a 12-month period. Once you have 2, you can go back to the first one.
You said something about individual serving as well. Is that something that you deal with separately, or how does that work?
Yeah, that is something that I would normally share those names with Deb. She would look to see if they have a license. I'm not sure if I've shared those names with you already.
You have, and we can, that would be a separate motion if you so choose. So there was 4 establishments that failed. Out of the 4, only 1 had a licensed operator, and that was at Weiler's. So we can't really do anything to the one at Pizza Hut. She did not have a license.
You're working then on with somebody else on premise.
I'm assuming you always need at least a licensed operator on the premise. She just wasn't the
herself
one,
did.
right?
That's one thing we go into the establishments as well, and we, if they desire, and we train them and teach them that the licensed person on premise has to be in a position to intervene in a sale that may not be worthy of, might not be legal. So if it's a manager who's a licensed individual, say for Pizza Hut on premise, and that manager is back cooking, it's hard to intervene in a sale of alcohol in the dining room if they're cooking or if they're doing accounting work in the back or something. So that's one of those conversations we have when we teach responsible beverage server training, is to make sure that when you are licensed and you're the sole licensee on that premise, that you're responsible for all sales that occur, not just the ones that you make as a server. I guess just to correct some of that information, I'm looking at 2 different sheets here. I think we could say the white and the crossed out areas are those who weren't checked. I know that on the sheet you have in front of you on September and August of 2018, there was just a handful of establishments checked on those. Sometimes there's few places that get checked because either the underager knows people in there, and that's another reason why they would exit and not try to make a purchase, as if they know the server and they would feel that they may be obligated to serve them because they're friends or relatives or something. But We also sometimes will just go and check those places that have previously failed just to ensure that they're doing the right thing, or we'll go back and we'll check places that have historically been closed. So we try to treat them all fairly, but then we also want to hold those accountable. Maybe showing a history of not making those correct choices in the past. But yeah, I believe that the white on the sheet that you have in front of you for that spreadsheet would also be ones that just were not checked.
And just so I can clarify, I used to get a spreadsheet from, I think it was Macy, maybe that's who gave it to you, and they don't give it to us anymore, so I recreated it. So I only really had a lot of current information, like what they didn't check for this year, 2019, or for June and September. Therefore, you probably see a lot more white spaces going back. I just didn't know who was not checked and I didn't go back. So June 14th and September 20th are the most accurate information that I have.
Okay, do we have any?
I'll make a motion that they should have 75 demerit points for failing the last two.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes, 75 points assessed, 2 failures.
Okay, and then just one more thing, if you wanted to consider, the police chief did supply the 4 servers that serve the underage. So the one at Weiler's, they are licensed. Currently, she does not have any points, but you could assess 25 demerit points for selling to a minor if you so choose.
We should, yeah. I'll move to assess 25 points. License, digital, grade.
Oh, can I just ask the attorney one? They have to have 2 violations. Yeah, we can't. I'm sorry. She's got to have 2 violations. I just thought of that as soon as they said it.
2 violations in a year?
Right.
Yeah.
Of
And she
serving.
hasn't had any
Okay.
besides this one.
I'll send my discussion.
Thank you.
I guess I would just ask, how do we then assess points on somebody's application if they have 1 previous alcohol violation?
Shouldn't be. Which one are you talking about? You did that on the disorderly conduct earlier? Is that what you're referencing?
No, I'm just saying if somebody has an underage drinking citation, I mean, she received a citation for serving an underage person. So I would say based on the citation, maybe based on the conviction, I should say, because I don't know if she's been convicted of that citation. So when she's convicted of that citation, this body could take that into consideration, correct?
No.
No, you have to have 2 violations of this chapter, which is chapter 9 of our code, or chapter 125 of the Wisconsin statute, in order for us to consider it as an impact on the license. I know
Separate category.
it's crazy, but that's,
Okay.
I mean, there is
Right.
some strange
Yeah.
logic there, but that's the idea. The statute does provide under 125 that you can't assess those points on a license unless they have 2 prior convictions within the same license.
But then is it that you can go back and assess points on the first conviction as well? Is how does that work?
If
If
they
you
have
get
2
2 within that
within a
12 months,
12-month period, yes.
then you could assess 25 for one, 25 in the other, and then lose
25
their
and then
license.
50. So
That was section 9 what?
Well, chapter 9 of our code, which adopts chapter 125 of the Wisconsin statutes or mirrors it, basically.
934.
I think that's all
Sorry.
for the alcohol compliance check. Number 10, a reconsideration hearing of Michael Yakaites. I believe Michael is present.
Oh, he did not show up.
People have been coming in and out, so I know the doors.
So do they need a motion just to, or does it just
He
leave?
requested, is that the case? So I think that you basically say that, you know, based on his failure to show, you're going to uphold the previous decision of the body.
And I don't know if this plays a factor. I mean, he was incarcerated on the 10th of October, and I believe he got out the 11th or 12th, and it was for an alcohol violation. So that would be something I'll be bringing up if he does come forth again. But he's on probation currently, and according to the records that I can access, he's no longer incarcerated. So I guess I don't know why he didn't show up, but there was that happened since his last, or since his appeal probably.
When did he file the appeal? Maybe that was before he got incarcerated. And he just figured,
Well, we denied it. I sent him a letter on September 20th stating that we denied it. And then he had called me and requested a reconsideration hearing at that time. And at that time, I wasn't quite sure if we're going to meet the first meeting in October or the second. So once that was determined, I did call him and give him the date and time, as well as I sent him a certified letter last week about the meeting tonight. I didn't receive the signature portion of the certified letter, but I do know that it was mailed to him, so he may have not picked it up.
but he got arrested in between that time.
Yes,
So he probably
yes.
figured what the result would be then.
It's up to him to challenge that
Right.
he didn't have due process in this decision. So if that's because he wasn't here or whatever, that's up to him to raise later. I mean, if he chose to do that, then you'd have to hear that at that time. Meaning, for some reason, he's got a reason why he wasn't here. That's up to him to raise that.
So do you recommend a motion, or can that just be a statement in the record due to the fact he did not show up?
Well, it's on the agenda. I think it's
Make a
clear that you
motion?
make the finding that he's not here, so he's in deep.
Make a motion that we keep the ruling that was previously made.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It passes. Number 12 doesn't apply, 11 doesn't apply. Item number 13 doesn't apply. Item number 14, recommended items for future agendas. Anything? Adjourn.